generally come across a lot of Vaishnavic sects who do not worship Lord Shiva, or they don't even have a role of Lord Shiva in their anusthana, in their lives also.
On one hand, there are people who call it Sarvottamatva. That means Shiva Sarvottamatva. Basically, the Pashupata and the Shaiva understanding of Lord Shiva is that he is the supreme. People who, especially from the Visishtadvaita, it is believed that Lord Shiva does not exist.
Hi, welcome to KC Talks. Today is Maha Shivaratri. There are so many theories about Maha Shivaratri, and there are so many understandings also about who is Shiva. But there is a Vaishnavic saint by name Srimad Madhvacharya. It is the only Vaishnavic sect who worships Lord Shiva. So let us understand what is Madhvacharya's understanding on Lord Shiva is. Om Namah Shivaya.
Hare Srinivasa. Acharya Pavanosmakam. Acharyani cha Bharati. Devo Narayana Shishaha. Devi Mangala Devata. Mrityunjayaya Rudraya. Neelakanthaya Shambhuve. Amriteshaya Sarvaya. Mahadevaya Te Namaha. Sarva Mangala Mangalye, Shive Sarvartha Sadhike, Sharanye Trayambake Devi, Narayani Namostute. So, I think you bring up a very relevant point, Krishna, about Madhvacharya and the Dvaita philosophy and what it has to talk about Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is a very integral part of all our Puranas, be it Bhagavata or Ramayana, Mahabharata. There are many references to Lord Shiva, and there are also references to the different incarnations of Lord Shiva that he has taken in different contexts. So it is interesting to know how Lord Shiva occupies not just some place but a very premium place in the Madhva understanding of the various gods and their relative positions.
Okay. So, because we generally come across a lot of Vaishnavic sects who do not worship Lord Shiva, or they don't even have a role of Lord Shiva in their anusthana, in their lives also. They keep saying that Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, that like a reverence, like we feel he is the greatest Vaishnava, but there is not a significant amount of time or a sadhana or a japa that they invest on Lord Shiva. So I have always doubt growing up in a Vaishnavic family that what is Lord Shiva, and I was always fascinated and attracted by his personality, because he has a very strong appealing personality, always sitting in the meditation. And whenever in my childhood I used to listen to Ravana's stuti of what is that called as?
It is Ravana's stuti. It's Maha Shiva mantra, Maha Shiva shloka, stuti. Yes.
I used to get goosebumps, and somehow spirituality and occult of Lord Shiva is completely different from what the Vaishnavas do. And in the due course, what has happened is there was a lot of distorted theories on Lord Shiva that has come.
Yeah.
Yogis have taken Shiva in a different context. Advaitis have taken Shiva altogether in a different context, and many Tantrikas and other people also worship Shiva. So this whole podcast why I am doing with a scholar in Madhva philosophy is, let us understand what is Shiva Tattva, and also rectify from a Vaishnavic point of view and from all the other sects point of view also, because he has a Tattva and he has a unique place in this universe.
Absolutely.
So in order to understand and clear all our doubts, so please show some light on this.
Absolutely. No, I'm not at all surprised that the personality of Lord Shiva fascinates you as it does to millions of people. Irrespective of how they think about him, I think he is someone who comes across as a divine person of many facets. But I think the treatment of Lord Shiva in the different philosophies has been extremes. On one hand, there are people who call it Sarvottamatva. That means Shiva Sarvottamatva. Basically, the Pashupata and the Shaiva understanding of Lord Shiva is that he is the supreme. The other side is people who, especially from the Visishtadvaita, it is believed that Lord Shiva does not exist. In the hierarchy, it does not just exist. So there is a saying that even if a tiger chases you, don't run into a Shiva temple for protection. Even in that circumstance, they, the worshipping of Lord Shiva is not accepted. But Madhvacharya's philosophy is very clear. It is about hierarchy of gods. A topic that we have touched upon a little bit earlier, and we will talk about more in some of our subsequent editions. So in that, Lord Vishnu is supreme. Next to that is Goddess Lakshmi. And then we have Chaturmukha Brahma and Lord Vayu. Then we have Saraswati and Bharati, their respective wives, in the fourth position, in the fourth Kaksha in that sense. The fifth one is occupied by Garuda, Shesha and Rudra. So, but that stage or that hierarchical level is called Rudra Padavi. So Shesha, Garuda, Shesha, Rudra, in that order. Garuda, who is the eagle, the divine eagle, who carries Lord Vishnu, Lord Vishnu's Vahana. Garuda, Shesha, on whom God is actually sleeping all the time. And then we have the third, which is Rudra, which is the third position. So in this, the importance of Lord Shiva is very high. From a Vaishnavite perspective, you have God and his son is Chaturmukha Brahma, and Chaturmukha Brahma's son is Shiva. So he is as close as it gets. In a colloquial way, I can say it is always said that the grandchild is more dear to the grandfather than the son.
Definitely.
So they say that more than the milk, it is the butter which is more tasty.
Yes.
Because it comes next. That has to be taken in a colloquial way, because clearly Chaturmukha Brahma is very, very close to the closest to Lord Vishnu after Goddess Lakshmi. But Shiva is prayed to, as you rightly said, as Mano Niyamaka. Mano Niyamaka means someone who controls the mind. Now one may say, what is so great about it? All of us know that all our indriyas have a spiritual significance only when they are controlled. Otherwise they are like wild horses. So they can go anywhere, do whatever they want. Rudra will control the mind, and in turn that will control the all our senses and take it towards God. Right? So if you don't have that control, it's like having a wonderful Ferrari car without a steering. So you can imagine how great that car would be. So it is something like that is there.
So indriyas are controlled by mind.
Yes.
It is manashasthani indriyani.
Yes.
So it is a sixth, major thing after the five senses. And that controller of mind is Shiva, is what you are telling.
Yes, Lord Shiva is the controller of that mind. That is why praying to Lord Shiva is extremely important from a Vaishnava perspective. Because there is nobody who doesn't want to get control of the mind. And there is one more reason. So Lord Shiva is called Parvati Pati. He is a husband of Parvati. Parvati is the Abhimana Devata for Buddhi. So Buddhi is a part of Manas. It's a subset of Manas. Manaso or mind. So Buddhi, if you do not have your brain working properly and it doesn't have that intellect, you can imagine what's going to happen.
Buddhi means intelligence.
Intellect, yes. So the ability to grasp something, be able to analyze it, and then be able to store it in an intelligent way in your mind is nothing but buddhi. So that buddhi is also controlled by the mind. So all these things, if one wants to get all these things right in his sadhana journey, he has to pray to Lord Shiva. And you talked about meditation, which is there. So if you see, what is the picture we have of Lord Shiva all the time? That he is sitting and he is meditating. So we should ask, who is he meditating on? If there was nobody who was superior to him, he doesn't have to meditate. So what he does is that he is always meditating in what we call as Rudra Bhumi, which is the crematorium.
Okay.
right? And you know, it is very common in all over all the parts of Sanatana Dharma that anybody who is sitting in a crematorium, it's not considered very auspicious. You know, if you go to the crematorium for an unfortunate incident, then you come home and you take a very elaborate bath to ensure that all the negativity which has come into you because of the passing away of someone and the depression that it creates in the world around him should go away from your body, right? That's the significance.
Yes.
But how come we pray to somebody who is sitting in the crematorium all the while?
Yeah.
So Lord Shiva has already taken insurance in advance. He has got goddess Ganga on top of him. So while he is sitting in the crematorium, his purification is happening in the best possible manner because always taking bath with Ganga on top of his head. Ganga is Vishnu Padodaka. So he is to say that Lord Shiva is a pious and sacred God is a gross understatement, because we all get our purity from Lord Shiva. Because you know, it is very common in the spiritual world that you may take a nice bath. That is Bahya Diksha. It is clearing the negativity outside you. But what about the internal purity of your mind? That comes because of Shiva. Shiva is somebody who is the Shiva, the word itself means purification or pure. So Shiva is someone who purifies your mind and controls it. So his the prayer to him is very, very important. Now we talked about Lord Shiva's meditation. Now if we have to meditate on Lord Shiva, what should a Vaishnava do? Madhvacharya has given very, very clear instructions in his granthas, that he talks about different mantras that have to be recited. There are 72 mantras which he has ordained people that you should recite these things, of course subject to your own capacity and time, etc. One of them is Om Namah Shivaya.
Okay.
So it is a very ordained mantra in the Vaishnava sect by none other than Sri Madhvacharya himself, where he has talked about this mantra, and it's Panchakshara Shiva Panchakshara mantra. It is very common, in fact, in many parts of the Vaishnava community, that the day the child has the Upanayanam or the thread ceremony, he will be given a Diksha of Narayana mantra, Ashtakshara mantra and Shiva mantra, Panchakshari mantra.
Okay.
It is more prevalent in the Udupi and Dakshina Kannada part of it as a mandatory. But there are many other people who don't do it at that time, but who do it subsequently.
Okay.
And it's very, very common. It's extremely common to see that great gurus of the Madhva sect have established and consecrated idols and lingas of Lord Shiva in different parts of the country.
One of that is Dharmasthala.
Dharmasthala, Shri Vadiraja
Tirthas consecrated the detail.
Yes. If you go to Udupi, which is the most Vaishnava Kshetra you can think of, right opposite to Krishna, Lord Krishna is his grandson. You have Chandramoleshwara temple that is there. If you go to Chipgiri, which is the place of Shri Vijayadasara, he has got the linga from Kashi and he has established it there. Like this, there are, if you go to most Vaishnava places, temples, which are ancient especially, you will find a Lord Shiva who has been consecrated in that temple.
Superb. So as you have told another important point, that Shiva has placed Ganga on his head, and Ganga is none other than Vishnu Padodaka.
Yeah.
So a water that has washed the feet of Lord Vishnu. That's
Yes.
what it means.
Correct.
So a lot of people don't know about this.
Yes.
So can you tell us how is it washing the feet of Lord Narayana?
So it is what we see as Ganga here is an extension of what has come from the divine world above us. So it is something which is that the Ganga from there has come down to us. It was brought by Bhagirath, as we know, and that's why it's called Bhagirathi. But the idea was to ensure that the people of this world also get the benefit of that sacred water that Ganga has. So in everything, it's not just the river in the physical form, but what we call the Abhimani Devata. That means the God, the form of God or goddess who is inside that particular object, which provides that special power. Water is water everywhere. It is not. There may not be any difference, but the people who are there inside, the God which gives that power to that makes it special, right? So it could be water. If you add something to it, add sugar, it becomes sweet. If you add salt, it becomes salty. So like this, it adds a special power to it. So goddess Ganga, who is there, she is always washing the feet of Lord. So Chaturmukha Brahma, he washes the feet of the God every day. You can imagine how fortunate and how such a great person Lord Chaturmukha Brahma is. He washes the feet of God, and that when that water is flowing away, he immediately captures that in his kamandalu, or the pot which is always holding in his hand. That's a sign of a yogi. So, and he is the Parama Yogi of all. So he holds that and keeps it in his kamandalu. Now, when when Bhagirath requests that the divine Ganga comes to the earth, so it is granted. The boon is granted. But when that water starts to fall on the earth starts to sink. So because of the momentum of that water, it is huge mass with huge velocity. It's a divine river. So somebody has to stop that flow and ensure that it just flows very, very easily. So, and it flows in a manner that doesn't just create destruction, but provides water not for irrigation and all your spiritual pursuits. Because without water, nothing can happen. So Lord Shiva then takes the onus of letting that water fall on his head, because he is able to take that pressure, and then it flows down from his body, and then it flows everywhere. What we see as the Ganges river is a manifestation like that.
It is the kamandala, the water and the kamandala of Brahma that comes to this particular earth.
Yes.
Very nice.
So whenever we think about Ganga, we have to see it as a culmination of Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva all together. They all have a role to get us this holy water. So its value, therefore the divine value is immense.
Superb. So now that you have told, the Abhimana Devata of Mana, of every human being, is Shiva. So what does Shiva does to our mind, and how does he purify our mind?
Yeah, so I think the purification and the concept of purification is that number one, your mind has to get rid of all the negatives. But that is easy to say. So the way you do that is to put positive thoughts in it. So Lord Shiva does that. He performs that. It is his responsibility. When you pray to him, what he does is that he takes off all the negatives that we are all accustomed to. Somebody said it very beautifully. Then why do you have to purify your mind every day? Our mind is already purified. Once it is purified, it should be pure. It's like asking, why do you sweep your house every day of the dust? You have swept it once. But unfortunately, imagine the dust which keeps coming in from outside. If you have to clean it every day, every second your mind is susceptible to that impurification, because it is coming in contact with the world. So you need that permanent spiritual immunity, and that has to be done over and over again. So that is the role that Lord Shiva performs. That you pray to him, he is able to purify your mind, because he is Shiva. He is Shankara. Shankara means someone who creates auspicious environment. So the only one who can do that. That's why Lord Vishnu has ordained somebody who is so strong himself to be able to control our mind.
Yes.
How can he control? We say, if you have to drive a small car, you need, anybody can drive, easy to drive. But if you drive imagine a large truck which is carrying, 25 cars in it, like the way you see large trucks in India and other places. you will see that the driver who is there is his skill is of another order. They are amongst the highest paid people because of their unique skill that they have. So if you have to do it, you have to be very skilled, and you yourself should not be a person who is losing his mind. Right? If you imagine somebody, you are appointing a drunkard to drive the truck, he may be qualified, but you know what's going to happen.
Yes.
So like this, Lord Shiva performs that role in our lives. So praying to Lord Shiva is extremely important. And there is also a shloka in Bhagavata says Vidya Kamastu Girisham. That means anybody wanting to really get education, one has to pray to Girisha. That means Lord Shiva.
So once the mind is purified, then comes the intellect.
Yes.
And that's where Parvati plays a role.
Correct.
Is it how it is?
Yes. So once the intellect is also part of the mind. Buddhi is a part of manas. Man. So once you purify this, your intellect also gets purified. Your intellect cannot be pure if your mind is because it is staying inside the mind, the intellect. So if it is surrounded by negativity, it will also get corrupted. So if you want the buddhi to be, the intellect to be clean, your mind has to be clean.
Very nice. So as you have told about the Devata Taratamya and Shiva to be a grand son of Vishnu, which is a very, very unique, very new understanding from what Madhvacharya has given us. So I have heard of Ekadasha Rudras, the 11 Rudras. So what is Rudra Tattva? What are 11 Rudras? Can you please throw a light on that?
Yeah. So so Rudra, as I said, is a slot. And there are 11 Rudras who are there. It's enumerated everywhere. And in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Lord Krishna says that amongst the Brahma, or amongst the Rudras, I am Shambhu. That means I am Maharudra Devru. So what really happens is that amongst the 11, the main one, the supreme most of those 11 Rudras is Maharudra Deva. That's why we identify him separately as Maharudra Deva. Right? So if there are many people who are in a police station, let us say there are a lot of sub-inspectors. Amongst them, there will be one person who will be called the inspector. He is the main person. He like the head of the department.
Yes.
So Lord Shiva is the head of that 11 Rudras who are in that category, who come in that fifth slot or fifth class in that hierarchy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the other Rudras are also Jivas?
Yes, they are all Jivas. Everybody from Chaturmukha Brahma downwards, everybody is a Jiva.
So then Shiva is also a Jiva?
Yes, it is a.
Then why is he called Mrityunjaya?
So Mrityunjaya means that he is someone who helps evade any death which is untimely.
Okay.
Right? So Mrityu, nobody can overcome Mrityu in entirety.
Yeah.
Right? Even he cannot.
Even Brahma has Mrityu.
Yes, Brahma, he has to give up his deha someday and move on. So does Lord Shiva himself have to do it at some stage.
Okay.
But Mrityunjaya really means that evading untimely death. And death which is inauspicious and untimely and in a bad circumstance. Like for example, getting killed maybe in a war or an accident. These are apamrityus. We call them apamrityu. I mean, dying is written on the wall for everyone, but apamrityu is not something that cuts short the person's lifespan very abruptly. So to overcome that, we call him Mrityunjaya. That is one. Second, as the Madhvacharya understanding of all the Veda Suktas, Mrityunjaya mantra comes in Rudra Sukta, right? In that Mrityunjaya, every word in every letter in the Vedas actually talks about Lord Vishnu himself.
Okay.
So if you go to many Vaishnavite mutts on the day of Ramanavami, for example, they will be chanting Rudra. So you will wonder what is the connection. That is because all Veda Suktas, without exception, they all address Lord Vishnu himself. So Maharudra in the ultimate Mrityunjaya, for example, in the ultimate understanding of of everyone is actually Lord Narayana.
Okay.
So he is Mrityunjaya in the absolute sense. So when you say somebody is Buddhi Manoniyamaka, that Manoniyamaka also needs a Manoniyamaka. Right? His manas also is there. He also has a mind. That also has to be controlled by someone else. So for everything, the ultimate God is Lord Narayana himself. So Mrityunjaya in the absolute sense, somebody who has overcome death completely is only Lord Narayana.
Is only Narayana.
And Goddess Lakshmi.
But it's an information for me that you have told during the Ramanavami, when you are doing Abhisheka to the Rama Saligrama, or Abhishekam to the deities of Lord Rama, you chant Rudram.
Yes, Rudram, and it's recited in the Ghanapata tradition, and it's a very elevating experience.
Okay.
And just to complete that point, Lord Narayana is sleeping. How do you know he is Mrityunjaya? How do we know? Is that he is sleeping on a snake, which has got 10,000 hoods. So he is saying Havu, or snake as it's called in Kannada, is Savu, means death. So snake is a symbol of death. So if he is about death, that means he is sleeping there so calmly.
Okay.
I mean, you and I are talking here, and suddenly some God forbid a cobra was to enter, or even a snake, or even something which looks like a snake.
Will be
some wire lying there looks like a snake. I think we all run for divine life.
Yes.
So it is it is a very clear sign that he is above death.
Okay.
And apart from Manoniyamaka, he and Vidyavardhaka, someone who gives education, Lord Shiva is also a symbol of Vairagya, or the sense of detachment from the worldly matters. That is why he is sitting in a Rudra Bhumi. Smashana, because that is where the Vairagya, we call it Smashana Vairagya. It's said in a lighter way, that if somebody is acting very spiritual for some time, when he has a special experience, and then after some time it sort of comes down, we tell them, all this is just Smashana Vairagya. That means that it's momentary. It's used in that context. But for him, Smashana Vairagya is permanent, because he's sitting there, and he's really detached from the rest of the world.
So Vairagya Abhimana Devata is also Rudra.
Yes.
So he only bestows Vairagya to any Jiva.
Yes.
Wonderful.
And another special thing, Krishna, is that if you, in many situations, Lord Shiva and Parvati are in the Alingana Bhangi. That means they are hugging each other. Now there is a very special significance in this. A man and a woman, husband and a wife, if they are hugging each other so intimately, it is considered to be not so correct. But in the case of Lord Shiva and Parvati, it is of special significance, because even in that Bhangi they are thinking about Lord Vishnu.
Wow.
So their Vairagya is at a different level altogether. So they want to see the whole purpose of, why do gods look like this? Why do they behave like this? Everything, he's a guru of the highest order, Lord Shiva. So for everything that they do is a message for us. If they are standing, there is a message. If you are sitting, there is a message. The way they are sitting, there is a message. Here, he is holding Lord Parvati so close to him. Yet, they are in that Vairagya mode all the time.
Very beautiful.
So this Rudra Bhumi is not especially needed for Lord Shiva to have that Vairagya. Wherever he is in that state.
Superb, Sundarji. So I have got some fascinating information. I used to always feel a person who has so much of Vairagya. I always thought, why does he need a beautiful wife? And Parvati is supposed to be the most beautiful. She's a mother of every Jiva in this world. But, I did not have an answer. But now that when you have told that, Buddhi and Manas, then I can understand how they are always amalgamated.
Yes.
So the entire understanding of looking at a linga, many people give very weird explanations of linga. Somebody says linga and lingakara is a union of Shiva and Parvati. But now, after understanding Madhvacharya's explanation, I can understand that Manaha and Buddhi are very amalgamated.
Yes.
It is like an alloy. We can't really
separate them.
You can't.
So, you talked about Lord Shiva's looks, right? So he's called Vamadeva.
Hmm.
Vamadeva means someone who is extremely good looking.
Yeah.
So Meenakshi temple in Madurai, we call the god Sundareshwara.
Hmm.
So because he is extremely good looking.
Hmm.
So in the Samudrika Shastra, it is called Samudrika Shastra, which is the science of body features.
Hmm.
So there are 32 body features which are mentioned.
Hmm.
The different parts of our body
Hmm.
and how should they be ideally.
Hmm. Lakshanas.
Lakshanas.
Huh.
And Lord, out of those 32, Shiva has 28,
Oh.
which are perfect.
Hmm.
And Lord Vayu and above Lord Vayu, everyone has got 32 and 32.
Okay.
Sri Raghavendra Swamiji, one of the renowned gurus in the Madhvacharya lineage, actually mentions that about Lord Vayu
Hmm.
in his Prata Sankalpa Gandhya.
Hmm.
Dvatrinsha Lakshano Petanam, he says.
Hmm.
So that means he has all those 32 qualities.
Hmm.
So 28 out of 32 is a distinction marks
Hmm.
in any
So he's
exam.
a very handsome. Shiva is a very
extremely
handsome person.
extreme handsome person.
Hmm.
And just to give you an idea about how, let us say somebody a human being who is extremely good looking, how many qualities they will have out of 32? The answer is 0.
Hmm.
None of those features are, the most beautiful, the most handsome person from a physical perspective will not have even one organ or one part of the body which is as per the Samudrika Shastra. So now you can imagine how beautiful Lord, how handsome Lord Shiva is, and of course goddess Parvati is. So if you see, our Shastras mention a lot about the looks of the person. So you are sometimes intrigued. Why does it matter? How does it matter? As long as they have bhakti and they are great, they should be worshipped. The good looks of goddess, of any goddess, if you see the way a goddess is described, her eyes are like this, her nose is like this, her face is like this. We sometimes wonder why this description is given. The reason is that as per Shri Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya, an encyclopedic commentary on Mahabharata by Shri Madhvacharya, he says that the physical beauty or attribute of a goddess is directly proportional to her Hari Bhakti.
Oh.
So we describe all this in great detail because to give an idea to the people how much of Hari Bhakti they have.
Oh.
And when it comes to a male god, like it could be Bhima or it could be Arjuna or anybody, their physical and their intellectual capacity is an indication of the Hari Bhakti that they have. That's why you see, it is their arms are mentioned. For example, Arjuna is, he talks about him being a Savyasachi. Nimitta matram bhava Savyasachi. Even Gita has that.
Yes.
He's omnidextrous. He can shoot the arrow like this and like this with both the hands.
2 hands he can use.
He could do it. So which is a rarest, is a big danger to the enemy because you never know. At least when a bowler bowls, you know whether he's a right-hander or left-hander. Imagine somebody does both. It's going to be tough. So it is important to do that. And today on the holy occasion of Maha Shivaratri, I think today is also will also have the Pradosha Kala. His time of the day is evening. Lord Shiva comes in the evening, they say, and he goes around the whole world. And because that is the time when the sun is setting. That's the time when people start to do negative or wrong activities like thieving. Stealing is much easier in the night and than in the morning. And all the other illicit activities like drinking alcohol, all that starts only at that time. So he comes around for an inspection and he says, okay, people who are performing auspicious tasks at that time are people who will who will spend the rest of the day also in spiritual matters. So if he finds you praying etc. at that time, he is happy. And if people start doing negative things, we have seen the other face of Lord Shiva, which is that he can get extremely destructive to people who are not doing the right things.
Okay.
So he has got a very aggressive side of him, but that will come into picture only when he sees wrong things being done.
Okay.
So he is a teacher to to the rest of the world. He is the most handsome person. He is a Vairagya Shiromani, as they call him. But he is the policeman and the anti-terrorist gang in the afternoon.
That is the reason he is called destructor also, no?
Yeah. So that is one of the roles that he performs later on. But even intermittently also, all he has to do is spoil people's mind. Because he is the one who is controlling it.
Yeah.
Right? So, Vinashakale Viparita Buddhi, they say.
Yes.
Right? That means who gives that mind to do stupid things? You know, for example, when we look at Mahabharata war, what made Duryodhana take the decision to fight the war? Because just a few days before that, Arjuna single-handedly has defeated the whole army, the same army, almost the same army. He has defeated single-handedly. There is no Bhima, there is nobody else in the Pandavas side. He has, in the Virata Parva, he has defeated. What makes him take that wrong decision? What makes Ravana take the wrong decision? It's writing on the wall. If he has put so many obstacles for someone not to attack him, and one monkey comes, one of the several monkeys comes this way and warns him and says that, look, and he gives Hanuman gives a tight slap to Ravana and warns him that, look, I have hit you with very less force, because if I hit you with full force you will die. I am giving you a warning that Lord Rama will vanquish you. He doesn't listen.
And he tells that I am the weakest of the enemies that Lord Rama has.
Yes. Weakest of the people in the army that Rama has. And I have hit you like this. I have killed. So he killed somebody who is equivalent to Ravana there to prove that he could have killed Ravana. Right? He proves it. It's not just an empty statement. But then, as they say, Vinashakale Viparita Buddhi.
So the Lord Shiva, as he controls our mind, when he sees you are a sinful, he will destroy your mind also. And that is probably one of the reason all the Asuras have taken benediction of Shiva.
Yes.
And it is good till then.
Yes.
But if your intentions are wrong, if you are a bad person, you are a wicked person, then he will destroy you completely.
Yes.
So the destruction, I see it either ways. As when the cosmic manifestation is getting destructed completely, so the Pralaya Kala, he does the Shivatandava.
Yeah.
And he is the in charge of the entire dissolution of the... Am I right in that?
Yes, absolutely.
So like how he dissolutes this entire material world during the Pralaya Kala, that is the same way he can destroy your mana completely.
Yes. So you can see, when somebody can do that, this is nothing for him.
So
the thing is that you mentioned about the demons also praying to Lord Shiva.
Yes.
One of the issues that comes up, you take somebody, if you pray to Lord Shiva in the right way, he is called Ashutosha. Right? So Ashutosha means somebody who grants the boons immediately. This whole Shiva family has the same, every family has a problem. So they also have a problem. They can't make the devotees wait. Okay. So whether it is goddess Parvati or Ganesha or Skanda, Kartikeya, and of course Lord Shiva himself, they give you the immediately. Boons are granted immediately. That's why he's called Ashutosh. He will give you that in immediate way. But if you don't do the right thing, he is capable of destroying you. Bhasmasura did that. He prayed to Lord Shiva, saying that you are the supreme, which is totally wrong. He is not the supreme Lord. He is in the hierarchy. So he and his intentions were totally wrong, because he wanted to say that give me all the power that I can get. And what was he wanting to do with that all the power? He wanted to marry goddess Parvati.
That was intention of
Bhasmasura. That was Bhasmasura. That is why the whole problem started. Because the moment he got all the power from Lord Shiva, he started to use it against him, so that he can marry goddess Parvati. Imagine what a evil thought to have. And of course we know the story, and this is what it is. So praying to Lord Shiva is an absolute of absolute importance. In the Vaishnava Puja Paddhati that is written, Lord Shiva occupies a very, very senior position, and it's an inbuilt mantra into all the rituals that one performs. Like you do Aarti, you do Abhisheka, and then you you do the Pita Puja, Avarana Puja, everything, all the stages of a prayer in a Vaishnava methodology has got a very, very high exalted position for Lord Shiva. So on this day, I think we should
You have
use
given
this.
us a fascinating information. Most of the information is unknown to the common audience, because you are coming into the Madhwa line and the understanding. Now I understood from your information that until and unless our minds are controlled properly, until and unless the purification of that mind happens, we can't really do Hari Bhakti also with that particular mind. And so, having understood that he is a controller of mind, so we should all take our refuge in Lord Shiva.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your illustrated explanation on Lord Shiva. Hare Srinivasa.
Hare Srinivasa.